Hi, everybody. I want to talk about some possible scenarios of what's going on with Donald Trump right now. I watched you. Let me see. I went to USA Today, and here's an article. Trump campaign seeks to get back on track. Says Donald Trump is reassuring his supporters that despite a tumultuous week, his campaign has never been more unified. At a rally in Daytona Beach, Florida, Trump said his campaign is doing really well. Um, I want to talk about a few possible scenarios of Donald Trump. The first scenario is that Donald Trump's for real, that he is a sincere guy, and he has reversed almost every belief that he used to have. So, in other words, when he used to be in favor of gun control, now he's reversed it and he's in favor of the Second Amendment. He used to be in favor of abortion, now he's reversed it and he's pro life. Um, Almost every position that he's in favor of today used to be a Democrat, now he's a Republican. Almost everything that he's done previously, he's reversed, and now today he's legitimately who he says he is, and he's not in any way being anything different than what he says is, and he's really for all the things he says he's for, and he's really trying to be the best thing that he can be for the American people, and he's representing the American people, and that's all he's interested in. That's one possible scenario, and I'd like to believe that scenario. There's a lot of people out there who would like to believe that scenario. And the other thing too is that he's doing what people are wanting to do, which is attack this political establishment that's been in control for so long. That's why he attacks people like Jeb Bush and attacks people like McCain. In a lot of people's eyes, those people have done a lot of damage. And for him to say things to them in a rude, sarcastic, tear down way really appeals to a lot of people. A lot of people like to see that, and that's got him a lot of mileage, and it's got him to where he's at. And let's say he is a sincere guy, and he's doing this because he is mad, and he's venting what the American people are feeling, that they really are frustrated with these people, and he's saying politically not politically correct things because that's what people are thinking. So he's not saying the politically correct thing. He doesn't care what he says to these people. He just says it from the heart, and this is what he says, and he's a real guy and a real person, and this is what it is. And if that's the case, then maybe that's the case. But that's I don't believe the case, because if that was the case, at some point the Hamilton attacks would have to stop. He'd dial it back a little bit, realize there's a bigger cause at stake, which is a belief system of trying to help people out, and he wouldn't be attacking everybody, including parents of somebody that got killed at war. I mean, that's going too far. That's really something beyond just going after political people or public people. Now he's going after people that really aren't that public, and he could always say they were attacking him first, and so on and so forth. But there is kind of a place where I think it does hurt him more than than it helps him. And I know I got to think that he knows that line, and he's crossed it millions of times, where he goes beyond what would just be what people would think he should do, and he crosses it into an area where he hurts his cause. And that's why I don't think this is the case. I don't think he's legitimately trying to be a guy that's what he says he is. I just don't think that's who he is. I think the guy has got a huge ego, and he's more about himself than he is about anything else. And his ultimate goal in this election is to be the most famous person in the world. And I think he is becoming the most famous person in the world. And his name is always going to be known because of this election. And there's going to be a lot of people that love him over this election. And that's what he's all about. The second case scenario is that the guy is a little bit unhinged, and then he's a little bit nutty, and you're just starting to see what it is that he's always has been, as somebody that's been able to have everybody say yes to him. No one's ever said no, and he does whatever he wants to do. He's very narcissistic, and you're starting to see this, and it's starting to show up in a way that he has to appear every day, and he just can't stop himself. He's just going to say whatever he says and says whatever he thinks, and he's never going to say anything different, and that's just who he is. And if that's the case, well, then it is better that he gets exposed and doesn't become president, because he doesn't have the temperament for it. But I don't think that's the case either. I think it's more likely the third scenario that I'm going to present to you. And that scenario is that he has an agenda. The agenda is that he doesn't really want to win this race. That what his agenda is to build his brand, build his name, making, in Trump's world, all publicity is good, bad, or Yeah, whatever. He wants publicity, and that's what he's about. This guy's got a huge ego. He's out there for himself. He's out there for his businesses. He's out there for being known by everybody, and for everybody to know him forever. And I think that's what his main agenda is. And I think the ultimate result of this whole thing, what's going to happen in the end, is it's going to play out like this. Trump is going to he's going to say that the thing was rigged against him. And right here it says this, VOX Vox.com. Donald Trump has no idea what rigged election talk could unleash. It goes on a little bit further. It says there are nearly 100 days until the presidential election, but Donald Trump is already warning that the election is going to be stolen away from him. So I think what's going to end up happening at the end of the day is that Donald Trump is going to say that people, the political establishment, sold him out. That they nobody, everybody, because he went out for the American people, and he was honest, and he told it like it was, and that he attacked those people that people viciously or hate because of all the destruction they've done to this country, and those people robbed him of this election. In reality, though, he never really wanted to win it, because he was more for himself than he was for trying to win an election to help the American people. So I think this is what the ultimate scenario is going to be, that he's going to lose, and he's going to do it because they stole the election from him. And I'm already starting to hear this from quite a few places. If you just search that, Donald Trump claims they are stealing the election, and of course, first person is Sean Hannity, and then you got you got some other websites here all claiming that that's going to be the scenario. So what ends up happening at the end of the day, which would make sense when he can't dial back the ad hominem attacks, that eventually people will start working against him. Even the people on his side of the belief system will start working against him. So that all makes sense. They work against him. They in like the Paul Ryans of the world and the John McCain's, even though they say that they are supporting him, they're doing it with not a very strong supporter. They're not going out and doing everything they can, or maybe in the back of their mind, they really like to see him lose. Like maybe Jeb Bush or some of these people, they'd really like to see Donald Trump lose. So ultimately, they may be saying that they want him to win. They really don't want him to win because they're hoping for him to lose. And they do everything they can in the background to do that. And ultimately, that's what causes him the election, which says the election is rigged. So I think that's the way it plays out. Donald Trump's always for himself. I don't think he ever changed, but he's a great actor, and he's a great personality. And he will go down as probably one of the most famous people of all time. And for that reason alone, I think it's a big success for Donald Trump. So that's what it is. So appreciate you listening.